Hello everyone, I hope you're doing well. And today, we got a record. But first, I'd like to say thank you so much for 100 subscribers. I know I'm at like 110 about right now, so I'm a little late, I'm sorry. But yeah, I'm at 100 subscribers, which is just really surprising to me. I never really, for the longest time, I had a very low amount of subscribers and it wasn't really gaining at all, but I mean, obviously it's still pretty low, but it's risen faster than it ever has, which is really cool, and I like that. This is just fun to do, and I like it. So, just thank you. I just like to share the music I like with people, and I love when people say, "Oh yeah, that's a great album," because it's just fun to kind of see other people who like the same things as me, because it's just cool. That's the beauty of YouTube. And I'm just a lot of really nice people, really cool. And so there's my thank you out of the way. So now let's get into the record that I'm looking at today, and that is The Black Saint and the Sinner Lady by Charles Mingus. Now I've been recently on a huge jazz binge almost. That's for a few days I've only really been listening to jazz, like just jazz, and I've kind of been delving into the discographies of some of the greatest artists. Obviously Coltrane and Davis and Hancock and all these great artists. And I've also kind of been looking into like the Blue Notes and the Impulse records, because those are some great discographies and great labels too. I really like their catalogs. And this one is one of the best on Impulse. It is Black Saint and the Sinner Lady by Charles Mingus, who is, I don't think he gets as much attention as some of the other jazz musicians, but he is definitely kind of considered one of the big ones. Like, he's pretty well known. Maybe not to the average person, although I wouldn't think John Coltrane would be either, but he's definitely a little bit lower in recognition, but he is an incredible artist. If you don't know, he's a bass player, which is kind of unusual for a band leader. Typically they're a more, a trumpet or a piano or a saxophone. Those are like the most common band leader instruments, I'd say. But no, he's a bass player, and it really makes you kind of like focus on his bass playing, which is very unique, and in a way it kind of acts as even more of a commanding presence in the band. I mean, the bass is like almost a secondary drum typically. It's kind of a rhythmic component. Typically, they might have a bass solo, but it's a very important rhythmic component. So now that kind of makes this rhythmic component even more crucial, as he is the one leading the band. So this album, I listened to it recently. It's kind of big band, which is, instead of the trio or a quartet or a quintet, those are your kind of typical jazz album, like 4 or 5 people. This is a much bigger band. I'm not sure the entire number, but because of that, you get a lot more diverse sounds. And I really do like big band. There's some good, kind of more experimental big band, especially because, it kind of has a lot of possibilities. The more instruments, the more possibilities. And it is cool to have a more limited amount of textures. Like a good trio is always cool, but a big band can also make some crazy things happen. And an album like this really kind of needs that big band, to pull off what it does, which is really one of the best pieces of music ever made. What really got me into jazz, I think, was Kind of Blue by Miles Davis, but I think this is another one that would, if you showed it to someone who's more into like rock, maybe even psychedelic music, I don't know, they would they would find something to like here. It really is just such an incredible album. It's really good. So now let's open it up. I've talked enough about this. masterpiece. This is from Turntable Lab. It's kind of funny. I was just listening to it. And I was like, oh, I gotta get it. So I bought it. And then I went down to a record store, and they had a copy. I'm like, well, oh well. But it came pretty quick. I'm in Boston right now, so they're in Turntable Labs from New York, so it's not much of a wait for shipping. But it would have been nice to support the local record store. But sometimes, hindsight's 20/20. Although, what's the record store? It's called Village Vinyl in Boston. It's a great store. I think it's my favorite record store I've been to in Boston. It's like, there's a lot of. It's fun to go to a more digging record store where everything is, most everything is used. It almost feels like a Hoarders episode of just boxes and boxes of endless records, and but at the same time you feel like you're just thumbing through a bunch of things people found in their attic that no one cares about, that are like $1, and then you can go to like the like a Newbury Comics or one of those record stores where everything is new, and those are fun, but it kind of feels less like the digging isn't there. So this place, they have some new stuff, but a lot of it is used. I got a copy of this one. Yeah, I got this for like $12. I Returned to Forever by Trick Corea. Great jazz fusion album, and it's an original pressing, US, and it sounds really good. So it was like $12. So that was a really cool pickup. So I recommend checking that place out. But getting back to this, I keep getting distracted. So let's pull this out. We got a little sticker. Oh, that's cool. I like this. They did a little Peanuts collab, so I'm sure to put that on something. Got our zine. I like this little zine they do. Plastic Love. We Want Sounds Top 5 Japanese Albums featuring Ryuichi Sakamoto as a session musician. What are they? Sun Shower by Taiko Onuki. I have that one. Sarava by Yukihiro Takahashi. That one's good. Spacey by Tatsuro Yamashita. That one's very expensive. Maria Takeuchi Variety. Overrated. Just gonna say it. Sorry. And Haruomi Hosono Shigeru Suzuki and Tatsuro Yamashita Pacific. That's a good album too. Yeah. Anything else cool in here? Yep, these are fun. All right. It's coming soon. All right. Looks like this. So yeah, this is a pretty well-regarded reissue that came out recently from Acoustic Sounds. They're kind of known as an audiophile label, which is cool. A lot of the pressings you get nowadays are kind of cheaper, kind of rushed out, not really high quality. This is from not the original tapes, which I believe burned, I'm not sure, but from like these copies that they found in London, and they're going through reissuing a bunch of Impulse Record stuff, which is cool, and I kind of want to maybe find some more, because I really like Impulse Records. And yeah, so this one I've heard is really a really good quality reissue, and it's not too expensive either. Like, a lot of audiophile reissues are prohibitively expensive nowadays, so it's nice to kind of see something that's reasonably priced. So yeah, let's rip this open. Mastered from the original analog tapes, so I guess maybe this one is, by top mastering engineers, manufactured at Quality Records pressings on 108-gram vinyl, gatefold sleeves, printed at Stoughton Print Company. Pull this out. Very nice tip-on jacket. I like that. That's neat. Mingus, the Black Saint, and the Sinner Lady, from a poem, Touch My Beloved's Thought While Her World's Affluence Crumbles at My Feet. So, kind of an abstract vibe. There's Mingus smoking a ciggy, or a pipe, lighting his pipe, that's what it is, with a little hat. Mingus, Black Saint, and the Sinner Lady from Impulse Records. You can see they've kept the original. The new wave of folk is on Impulse, which is something they kind of marketed themselves as. Sort of like not just jazz, but also folk. Although I don't know how long that lasted. But I guess they've decided not to change it because they're trying to keep it as original, as faithful to the original as possible, which is cool. So let's open this up. We get a gatefold, and I believe the original release was also a gatefold. And wow, that is a lot of liner notes. I like liner notes. They're cool to read. And this is just really, really tiny tape. Wow, that's tiny. Yeah. Cool. So I guess this is written by Charles Mingus and a psychologist. Because, yeah, I've heard he was kind of like mentally unsound when he wrote this. Kind of weird. But, you know how it is sometimes. So, yeah, let's take this out, this record. Mingus is Ingenious. Okay, so first we got this. This little thing I talk about the label, some things they're releasing. So looks like we got some Verve Records stuff, some Phillips, some Decca, some Bill Evans. That's from Verve. Some Coltrane. That's Impulse. That's cool. These are good albums. Yeah, it's neat. All right. Put that back. And let's take this record out finally. Okay, nice sleeve. It's like one of the MoFi sleeves. Same sort of design with that paper on the back. Pull this out. Ooh, that's quite heavy. I think that's more than 180 grams, honestly. Feels very heavy. Ooh. Again, weight doesn't really matter. People act like it does, but really it doesn't. But it is nice to have like a hefty record. It kind of makes the record feel just more sturdy. I don't know. People like that physicality, I know, of vinyl. That's kind of like owning it. And I feel like the heavier it is, the more physical it feels, almost. I know that's kind of silly to say, and I acknowledge that. And I won't want to like spend more money just because something's 180 grams. But yeah, a good 180. If it's 180 grams, I'm not complaining. If it's a great record, sounds great, great album, good packaging, and then it's 180 grams, I won't be like, that's stupid. But if it's a horrible sounding record and packaging's bad, but they got the 180 gram, then I'm like, well, it doesn't really matter because that really doesn't affect sound quality. So yeah, got my Mingus, and gonna check this out. I've heard only great things. Well, I think I saw one person on Discogs complaining, but I've heard mostly great things, and I believe that I will be not pleasantly surprised, satisfied, and happy with my record I got right here. So yeah, I'll check this out, give you guys a little sample of what I hear, and see you later. So, what did you think? I'm really happy with it. It sounds really, really, really good. Side B had a few pops, but I cleaned it out with the brush. So sounds really good, sounds really clean, sounds really powerful. The sound is strong, which is always what I want, especially on an album like this, which is such a powerful album. It's a really good mastering job. And I just was at another record store recently, and I saw a copy of this album. It was like the DOL pressing. I don't know what DOL stands for, but they're kind of like pretty big in the cheap jazz reissues market. And I have one of their records. I think it's Ole by John Coltrane, and it's not bad. Like, I wouldn't say it's a bad pressing, but yeah, it's not anywhere close to the quality of sound that you get with something like this. And just also the packaging, like those records, they have just such like the flimsiest little paper sleeve, and that's it, with some liner notes in the back. And it was the same for this. It was just the cover, the back with like some abridged liner notes. But this one is actually really true to the original pressing with the thick laminated jacket. You got the gatefold. Well, you got the original design on the back, even with keeping the folk tagline, which really didn't go anywhere. And you get the full gatefold with just this insane liner notes. I mean, these are like so much. And reading it really is interesting because most of it is written by Charles Mingus, and then the last part is written by his clinical psychologist, because he had just gotten out of a mental institution, or I don't know if that was exactly what it was. I don't know. He had recently been having some problems, and he had just kind of been what's the term? He had been not let out. It's like he was in prison. He wasn't in like an insane asylum, but he had just kind of been discharged. He something happened. I'm not sure entirely the whole story of that, but he wasn't in a perfect mental state, I guess you could say. And this was made kind of after he had just gotten out of that situation. And it really is an incredible album. It's beautiful, also kind of soul-crushing in a way. I don't know, there's a sort of like sadness about it. It's innovative in its recording techniques, just like overdubbing, stuff like that. You don't think of studio trickery type stuff as saying that would really ever happen with jazz music. It almost seems wrong, but I guess there's nothing really inherently wrong with it. And Charles Mingus, I think, agreed, and kind of, it's not like insane effects, but you do kind of hear it, and it gives it a really unique sound. Yeah, it sounds really, really good, looks really, really good. Record, just like the design on this is great, and it really isn't that expensive. Like, this is a really high quality pressing. I don't want to cover space. This is a really high quality pressing, really high quality packaging for a very reasonable price. I mean, you see records that are way worse quality than this for more, and I'm just really happy with this. I feel like I might get more of these Impulse analog productions, Acoustic Sounds releases, because these really are great. I like them a lot. So yeah, thank you for watching. I'm really happy with this one, and I recommend you check it out. It's still definitely attainable. There's still quite a few left out there. I don't know how many they're gonna make. It's not like they're advertising in this limited edition. And I am seeing people kind of say, like, there's arguments, but what's better, this one or the 45 RPM version they did a while back? And it really is just so, kind of just shows you how arbitrary it is with, like, these people who are like, I've listened to both side by side, and I think I prefer the 45. It sounds just way, way better. And you see other people going like, oh, I've listened both side by side, and the 33 is way better. It sounds so much more punchier and stronger. And I mean, I know people get really contentious about this, but it kind of really doesn't matter. Like, in the long run, especially with the amount of money you're paying for those 45s, because they're all gone now, you're gonna pay like over $100 for it. Just get this. It's some people say it's better, and even the people who have the 45 and think it's better don't call this really bad. And also, like, an album like this, where it's like a suite, or it's like almost one extended song, the more you're flipping it, the more it takes away from the experience, really. Like, people want to sacrifice sound quality for the experience. And I mean, sound quality, I think, is part of the experience, but
having to get up every 10 minutes to flip the record, it kind of like discourages you from listening to the whole thing the full way through. So, I mean, just flipping it once is kind of like, I mean, I love this album a lot, and like, even then I'm like, oh, should I play the other side or should I listen to something else? I don't know. So, yeah, that's just my thoughts on that. I think 45s, they can be good, and like if it fits on the 45 and you're not like charging an insane amount, then okay. But for something like this, I think 33 is definitely your best option, and with a quality like this, I don't think you can really go wrong with this. So yeah, again, I think I just started to say this, but thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you, if you haven't heard this album, I hope you give it a listen. I hope you listen to other stuff by Mingus. I hope you explore what else Impulse Records released, because they really are one of the best jazz labels and best record labels out there, period. I'm not kidding. There's some incredible stuff that was released on this label. And yeah, I recently just want to say thank you. I think I might have said this already, did I? I'm not sure. For 100 subscribers. I think I'm at like 115 now, so that's really cool. And yeah, just want to keep going, and eventually maybe, definitely don't think of this as a career, just a thing on the side, but I do have a great time talking about music, talking about vinyl records, and talking about physical media and stuff like that with you guys. If you have any ideas about what you think would be like a good 100 subscribers special, just comment it. I'll gladly try to think about what's a cool thing to do. Maybe I'll do like a cassette collection video, because I don't know if you can see behind me how well you can see, but you can't really see. But I have a lot of cassettes. I've been getting little cassettes, you know, from like used places, and also like vaporwave cassettes aren't that expensive, so it's nice to get. So yeah, thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing if you do so. And Charles Mingus, Black Saint and the Stair Lady, incredible album that you should listen to. Thank you, and goodbye.